Well, hello everybody. Louise Edington, the cosmic owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology, here today to talk to you about the solstice. But before I do, I'd love to ask you to subscribe, leave me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. And I would really like to thank everybody who's been leaving comments and who left me birthday wishes for my birthday, which was yesterday, and also for the very generous people that have been giving me super thanks. I never ask for that, but that's a wonderful kind of extra for me as well, because I do try and put a lot into this and give you as much information as possible to help guide you forward. And on that note, I quickly want to mention that uh, this coming week, I am offering a free preview call for my Venus retrograde class. You can attend the free call, whether you sign up for the class or not. But if you're curious to know more, that's on the 19th at 10 a.m. Mountain, I think. I'll put the link in the description. What am I doing this week? Oh, tomorrow I'm recording with Kathy and Andy and being interviewed by the fabulous Kaylin Castell for a an event she's putting on, and I'm going to talk about the centaurs and Caraclo. And I'll also be talking to Jordan Smith about that in the new year. So I've got a lot coming up, but I also will be putting in the link below a link to sign up just to register your email for a quantum astrology gathering. I've already interviewed all these amazing other speakers, astrologers and speakers, and all the recordings are up, ready to go from January the 6th to January the 17th. You will receive an email a day. The last 2 days, you'll get two because there's two speakers on each of the last days. These calls are completely free. Each interview will be available to view for 72 hours. And then I'm deciding what to do with the interviews afterwards, but you'll hear more about that too. But, I was inspired to put that on by a chat I had with one of my main speakers, which is Mark Jones, an astrologer out of England. And I've got Mark Jones, Ariel Gutman. I've got Magali Morales. Sorry, I always say the name wrong. I said Ariel Gutman, right? I've also got Rick Levine. Most of you will know him. Steve Judd, the caustic astrologer. I interviewed him. In fact, the lineup is just astounding, from the very well known. So I'm just very grateful they all said yes, to some of the lesser known up and coming astrologers. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful lineup. So please come meet some new astrologers, hear from some amazing, well established astrologers. And I might do it again next year, but we'll see, now that I've kind of put it, got the structure. Anyway, I've been hard at work putting all that together, and it really was an act of love, because I believe astrology is a tool for empowerment and healing. And that's why I also work with intentions and mind magic and writing a new story and so on and so forth, and not predicting doom and gloom. Because sometimes I think if we predict it, it might just happen. And that doesn't mean that things don't happen around the world, of course. And I will talk about challenges, but I will not predict. In social media, in in my writing, in my videos, I will not predict terrible things. And so, it was really kind of bothering me that some astrology was going that way, and some astrology out there is not very embodied and deep and very well connected. It's just kind of, spouting the same old things again, not calling out anybody in particular, but, you get the idea. Anyway, I think astrology is a real tool for empowerment and personal growth and deep self-understanding and deep understanding of the world. So on that note, I'm going to dive into the solstice. So the solstice in the northern hemisphere is the winter solstice, where the light's returning, and also in the southern hemisphere is the summer solstice. So the light is going to start disappearing. Solstice literally means sun stands still. So the sun appears to stand still for 3 days at each solstice point, and then kind of makes a loop and goes back and round and back and round. And Cancer and Capricorn are the most northern and southernmost signs, depending where you are. And that's what makes the loop. But not only that, this solstice is at lunar maximum, where the moon is also at its most northern point in the northern hemisphere. So, we are at a very extreme time in our collective. As I've mentioned many times, we're at lunar maximum, we're at solar maximum, now we're at the solstice. We've got the nodes about to change signs. The lunar maximum's only once every 18 and a half years. We've got so many things, and we've got all these outer planets changing signs as well over this year and the next couple of years. We've never seen a time like this in recorded history, honestly. I've not found an astrologer that's found a time the same as this, as extreme, as potent. But honestly, I really still maintain that we're heading in the right direction. So let me share the chart first of all. And I do have some thoughts about it, which I will come back to, and I may share a couple of charts with the solstice chart. But I've set this chart for DC because that's just the time I use. The ascendant and angles, the midheaven, the descendant, and the IC may be different for you. Okay, because you can set the solstice for any place you're at. So, I could set it for where I live, and that might speak to me for my own life. But the solstice charts are said to kind of almost be like a new moon for the next 3 months ahead, about 3 months, right? Till the equinox, pretty much. And this one is such a powerful chart. So it just gives a general guide for the energies ahead for the next about 3 months. So the solstice is the point where the sun reaches 0 degrees Capricorn or 0 degrees Cancer. And then we have the equinoxes at 0 degrees Aries and 0 degrees Libra. And they that means equal day, equal night. Now, these are all cardinal signs, and that means the turning of the seasons. All right. So in the southern hemisphere, we're returning to light. So spring is sprung and all those kind of things. And you get the idea. Oh, it's actually really the main part of winter kicking in, right? This one, because we're in the north. But anyway, you get the idea. It is the turning of the wheel, the turning of the seasons. And I pulled some cards, which I will show you at the end. And I had to laugh when I looked at the cards that I pulled. So that's the first thing. That is what the solstice is. The sun is at a standstill, 3 days, pretty much like, when he is risen, so to speak, after 3 days. There's a reason these stories are based on these things. So you get the idea. So there we have the sun at 0 Capricorn, starting Capricorn season, but also launching a new season. And these are also called world points because often they activate a time of change. So the wheel turns, the sacred hoop turns, whatever you want to call it. So you can see that this solstice is December the 21st, 4:20 a.m. in Washington, D.C. So you can adjust the time for you no matter where you're at. It'll happen. The sun will enter Capricorn at the same moment, but it may be a different time zone for you. So the first thing I notice, and I will talk about this more, is that the sun is square to the moon's nodes on the solstice. And the north node and the south node I use the true calculation of the nodes, which seems to work better in my opinion, only because of this lunar maximum thing. Anyway, this means the north node is back on its way back to 0 degrees, 1 minute, 0 minutes of Aries on January the 11th, which is actually the point of lunar maximum, which is when the moon is the most furthest point north. More to say on that later. But this is also the point of the upcoming Venus star point from March 22nd, 2 degrees Aries. We have some very amazing new beginnings and growth coming. All right, so this is a new start in very many ways. I do also, though, want to mention that 2 is a very feminine number. 1 is generally thought to be the masculine and 2 the feminine. 2 is said to be calm, patient, empathetic, that kind of energy. Of course, every number has a shadow, but just roughly speaking, 1 and 2, the divine masculine, divine feminine. 0, the point of this, where we are now, 0 Capricorn. 0 is the Fool card in the tarot, and that is infinite possibilities, start of a new journey. And of course, the 2 card in the tarot is, it's not one of the cards I pulled, but the 2 card in the tarot is actually the High Priestess card. Okay, so this is really about the self, the human being that you are, the principle of self-trust and self-resourcefulness. So it's a powerful, powerful solstice square to the nodes. This does not happen all the time. Again, another big shift, because the nodes and the solstice do not always occur this close together, and the nodes changing signs. Okay, so why that line was there, but anyway, I could do with a line just to point some things out. So that's a cardinal T-square, initiating major new things, new starts, new beginnings, unfolding over the next 3 months, right? All these things are kind of activation points. So, when you hear me say a time zone, don't think you have to wait 3 months for things to happen. This is things that are unfolding during this time. Okay. And then as well, so that's the first T-square. On this day, on the solstice, we also have an almost exact opposition between the moon, the people, also our intuition, and that High Priestess card in Virgo, opposing Saturn at 30 degrees, the number of the goddess, the energy of okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So 13 well, most people think of it as an unlucky number. I actually love it. 13 is the number of the witch, the number of the goddess. In the angel numbers, it's a sign from the universe to trust the process and welcome transitions. It's also said to be very determined, precise, and grounded, an artistic and loving nature. It is sometimes said to be a bit of a karmic debt number, but I don't know if I agree in that really very much. The 13 also, has said to be unlucky, but usually it's by, the witch burners and so on. But 13 really is a number of power. Its focus is on building foundations that are safe, secure, and solid. So that's 13. But this opposition, and I'll talk more about the different energies in a minute, is square to Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter in Gemini, change, number of change, 14.5. In Gemini, the sign of the twins, changing alliances, changing perceptions. I've talked about that so much. And these are mutable signs. So this is a powerful mutable T-square of change, which will be moving towards this opposite point. And we'll talk to you about that in a minute, which was the point that Mercury and the Sun met in the middle of the recent retrograde. And Mercury is on the way back there now. And this is also on Uranus nodes, which I've mentioned before. Mutable signs are about change, changing ideas, changing perceptions, changing viewpoints, all of changing beliefs, changing what you have faith in. And so this is really powerful as well. Saturn in Pisces has been revealing self-limiting beliefs, self-limiting blocks, obstacles that we put in our way. It's also gradually been, mastering, having faith and trusting your intuition. The moon in Virgo, a very feminine sign, is all about service and meaning, finding some meaning in life. The moon's there, which is your emotions. So it's like you want more meaning in life, basically. So this is another powerful T square. All right, so I do want to get rid of some of those lines so it's not too cluttered, and I'm going to show you some more things. In fact, I've already highlighted them, but I think I prefer to do it with the purple lines because they're a bit thicker and we'll show you more. So another thing that's happening on the solstice is that Mars, retrograde in Leo, kind of, revisiting our actions of leadership and so on, is opposing Ceres over here in Aquarius. And Ceres in Aquarius is about the needs of the collective, the needs of the whole, the needs of the people. Are the actions of our leaders meeting the needs of the people? Now, this opposition is activating a really important point, but it's also approximately the same point where Venus opposed Mars recently. So it's kind of like the energy of the divine feminine is looking at Mars retrograde straight in the face and saying, let's point out that your actions are not meeting our needs. Okay. Huge. All right, another opposition that we have is this powerful opposition between Vesta and Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Libra, opposing Hygeia and Eris, and I'm going to say Chiron too, over here in Aries Libra, the sign of taking a stand from a very strong pace, not rolling over and playing nice anymore, but standing up for yourself and others and for balance and harmony and equality. So this is a really healing opposition in so many ways, right? So it could shake things up a little bit. It's kind of saying that maybe some things will be shaken up a bit. Tables will have to be shaken to get our desired ends. But it also has a very healing vibe to me. Okay. Now then, the other things I want to point out are this square here. So we've got Venus and the beautiful Chariklo, Grace Spinner, cosmic space holder and doula, who's been holding space for this collective healing since she was discovered in 97, but especially since she had her opposition from her discovery point, which was about a couple of years ago. But she is in an almost, well, Chariklo and Venus, two beautiful feminine energies, divine feminine in all of us, is square to Juno in Scorpio. Juno is contracts, and in Scorpio is taking a really deep dive into our contracts with each other, how we've manipulated, how power has been manipulated, and so on. So you can kind of see where that's going as well, right? One other last thing to mention, and I'm not going to kind of labor everything too much, but I'm going to get rid of some of these lines and show you one other energy worth mentioning, in my opinion. South Node in Libra, no more rolling over, no more playing nice, is forming an air grand trine with Sedna, which is a huge agent of change, and Pluto in Aquarius, again transforming our alliances and our perceptions for the future so that we can co-create a brighter future. Now, one thing that I got mind blown about this weekend with this Gemini full moon and Mercury stationing direct, honestly, I've been listening to videos and things, and I've been having like a aha moment over a aha moment. Is I listened to an interview on YouTube with an astrologer I'd never heard of before, and I'm actually going to email her and try and get her on my podcast, because she mentioned that she's been working with Pluto a lot, but Pluto out of bounds doesn't happen very often. But Pluto is going to start going out of bounds this year, and will only be out of bounds for a couple of months in 2025, but is then goes back in bounds, but then goes back out of bounds again, and will be out of bounds for quite a few years overall. Well, anyway, this just adds to this heightened moment, but that's not the only thing. It's the last time Pluto goes out of bounds for centuries, according to this astrologer. And it's going out of bounds on the southern declination, which is more peaceful revolution kind of energy. So just know that. So every time somebody's talking about revolution, it's I think it's going to be more peaceful than we anticipate. All right. Doesn't mean there won't be anything. Now, this lovely air grand trine is forming a loose kite to Mars, because Mars is coming back to those early degrees, to that 0 to 2 degree mark. Again, revisiting the actions of our leaders. So it's going to be a really interesting next 3 months after this solstice, especially with that mutable T-square with Jupiter in Gemini. Things are going to be released and truth's going to come to light. Mercury is still treading the ground it was retrograde on. Remember that Mercury and the Sun met in the middle of the retrograde, right opposite. So at 14 Sagittarius, bringing major truth. Okay, so big shifts and changes coming. News that will change your point of view in a big way. All kinds of things I could say about that. It's going to be a big time coming. As if everything isn't right now. It just really is. Okay, so I'm going to just briefly mention, I'm not going to go into great detail, but you can find on my video list, I did a whole video on Cariclo. This is her beautiful discovery chart around the outside of this solstice chart. The only thing I wanted to mention is that Cariclo was discovered at different lines. Oh, yes, different software. 6 Leo, where Mars stationed retrograde. But even more importantly, I want to point out that Cariclo is right, well, pretty much back where she was on that discovery chart in 97. But Uranus is there, Jupiter's there. This is where all of this was for this activation. Okay, so there's a lot going on with that. I don't think I want to mention much else. Oh, one other thing though. Oh, but of course, Cariclo is about to have a reverse nodal return when the nodes shift signs. But Chiron in her discovery chart was at 2 Scorpio, and that's where we have Haumea. And if you've heard me talk about Pluto, Haumea squaring each other 13 times from 2022 to 2028, heading back towards, I think they're 8th square in the spring, that one of the new agents of birthing the new paradigm. So, you know, again, major changes. Now, just let me clear the drawings. 2 charts I will quickly look at, and I'm not going to say loads about them. I'm going to look, sorry, I'm going to put them around the outside. No, I don't think I need to look at that person, actually. I am just going to look at this. The current president, still president for a few more weeks. On the solstice, his Mercury is on the ascendant for Washington, D.C. Just saying. And his North Node is on the midheaven, public visibility, public face. So identity, voice, speaking out. North Node, his mission or purpose in life, feeling like it's his spiritual mission. You know, there's all kinds of things we could say about this. And the 0 degree, the solstice, well, it always happens in his 2nd house of self-esteem and self-worth, so I'm not going to talk about that. But that mutable T-square between the moon and Jupiter and Saturn falls, the moon falls in his 10th house of public visibility, and it's Mercury ruled, and Mercury will be in his 1st house, conjunct his Juno, sacred contracts. I believe the 21st is the last day that candidates can challenge the election. However, I'm still not convinced that that's how all this is going to unfold. I do know that, in fact, I'll stop share and then I'm going to share the cards. Thanks to all these commenters on this channel, a woman said, let me read it. In fact, she said that she had a dream on 7 different nights that Joe Biden announced rock solid evidence of cheating with Harris, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Merrick Garland, and Mitch McConnell. We're all standing behind him. And then she said also her 9-year-old dreamed that they were at the National Mall watching Harris be inaugurated. Now, you know, it's a dream, but I do want to mention one thing. There's a phenomenon called the dreaming women. I didn't go to sleep, so I witnessed the results, but a lot of women woke up apparently at like 4 a.m. On November the 6th after the election, knowing that there had been cheating or something. They dreamed it in a dream, or they didn't wake up. This was, about 4 a.m. They were reporting the dreams, but there's been many stories of women dreaming similar dreams since. Take that as you will. This is an astrology channel, but as I said, we live in a quantum realm, and I think dreams tell us something. So maybe the details and the timing's not specific, but something is changing. Anyway, here are the cards for the next 3 months of the solstice. Well, the fortune card, Jupiter. And remember, Jupiter is also squared, but the fortune card, or the wheel of card, is really all about, there we go. Change, the wheel of life, endings, beginnings, fortune when it's upright. And I don't usually read this deck reversed, and most astrologers do actually not either. So from Angeles Arian's book, all prosperity begins in the mind and is dependent only upon the full use of our creative imagination, which is Ruth Ross, Prospering Woman. And this card is the principle of opportunity, breakthrough, and prosperity. Basically, though, mind magic. All right. Then we have the Sagittarius card, the art card, which we keep having over and over and over again. And from Angeles Arian's book, the quote for this one is, "The point is to unify and harmonize the opposites, both positive and negative, by discovering a ground which transcends and encompasses them both." And that's from No Boundary by Ken Wilber. And this is the principle of integration, synthesis, and synergy. Now, before I look at the last card, let me read what my book, The Complete Guide to Tarot and Astrology, says about the art card, which is often called Temperance in other cards. This is compromise, patience, moderation, higher vision, and peace. So this is all about holding your higher vision, right? Those dreams. Four of Wands is the last card. It's kind of the outcome, if you like. Completion. This is abundance, belonging, community, celebration, and joy. And this is Venus in Aries, where the Venus retrograde is and the new Venus star point is, all before the solstice. I think Venus stations direct on the equinox, actually. So now, this Angeles Arian says, this reminds us that before we can energetically move forward in new directions, we have heart meaning. It's important to consummate or complete that which we have set in motion. Completeness. Just look at these cards. Just soak all of this up for a minute. And I actually do want to just confirm what date Venus stations direct on. And I hope you'll consider doing my Venus retrograde class. Come to the preview call on the 19th, or sign up to watch the recording. But also, just know that, I was wrong, but I was kind of not wrong. So the sun will be conjunct Venus, which is the new Venus star point, on March 22nd, which is kind of just on the astrological new year, really. The sun will be at 2 Aries instead of 0 Aries. What a new start. They're lining up with the seasons this time. It's quite astounding. Anyway, enough. It's just amazing times we're in. If I could sum up this solstice chart and the potential for it in general, is for really kind of pulling everything together and really working on visioning and actually taking action to create something very new that you really dream of. So go for it. And I think we can do that collectively too. Much love to you.